Hello and good afternoon, everyone. This is Anand Nawaz from Academics Accessible, and as you know, Academic Accessible is a platform जहाँ पे हम बात करते हैं academics की, हमारे नए डिस्कोर्स क्या है पाकिस्तान के अंदर और जनरल एकेडमिक बातें क्या चल रही हैं हमारी सोसाइटी में और लोग किन किन डिस्कोर्सेस के ऊपर काम कर रहे हैं. And we have these series of talks जिसमें we invite guests who speak on their own theories, on their own perspectives, so that we can enhance public scholarship and give out more information and knowledge and make it accessible to the public. आज हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं Mr. Ali Raza Khan, who is a big name in youth entrepreneurship. And he runs an organization by the name of Youth Engagement Service Network Pakistan. And he has been involved in working with youth since the past few decades. And he was the first person actually in Pakistan to start a movement for youth as a solution. And he has been accredited with many fellowships and programs. And recently, he has launched a book called Changemaking Intelligence, which is a postmodernist theory of transforming the redundant education system into something which is substantial, which is long-term, and it has a positive impact in the society. And we will talk more about his theoretical framework, but let's first welcome Mr. Ali Raza Khan. And Mr. Ali, thank you for joining us today. And we are so glad that aapne time nikala to have a chit chat with us. So welcome to Academic Accessible.
Thank you so much, Anna, for inviting me. I'm absolutely honored to be at the show. And thank you for this grand introduction.
No, there's so much more. I couldn't, figure out कि मैं क्या लिखूं. So, Mr. Ali, let's first talk about education a little bit. So, we all know that at a time when education system became sort of global or accessible to many, हमारे subcontinent वाले region में there was colonization, and उससे पहले education system was different, but colonization चल रही थी, industrialization चल रही थी, and so the education system was made in a way कि जिसके अंदर लोग sort of mechanistic हों, उनको information दी जाए, वो उसको process करें, उसका एक output हो, and so that they can work in the capitalistic environment. And today we see that that kind of information or that kind of an education system is becoming redundant day by day, globally. It is failing. And इसके victims हैं हम सब, हमारी generation, हमारी अगली generation, हमारी जो बच्चे आज कल school जा रहे हैं वो, because information now is not a problem. Our education system has been based on the consumption of information. But today, with the technological advancement, हमारे पास access to information इतना ज़्यादा है कि within a second you can get any fact and figure. So we don't need to memorize things anymore. This we do know कि ये एक मसला है और इसके बारे में कुछ खास अभी किया नहीं जा रहा. लेकिन आपके ख्याल में हमारे education system को लेके और क्या-क्या मसाइल हैं? And what is it that you are trying to address?
Oh, that's a very good question, Anna. आपने बिल्कुल ठीक किया है जो भी आपने introduction दिया, summarize किया जो हमारा current scenario. बस मैं उसमें एक चीज add करूँगा. आपने कहा कि हमारे पे जो impact है colonialism का, मेरा ख्याल है ये जो colonial rule था उसका impact अभी खत्म नहीं हुआ और still if we go to our educational institutions, we see that we have completely submitted to the West. We believe that all good ideas, all good theories, all good concepts, all good philosophies, all good books have to come from the West. We are still intellectually, culturally slave to those ideas. And when I go to educational institutions, I have been going for the last 23 years of my life, and what I see that, knowledge repetition, skill repetition is the routine. Personal achievement is a focus. Risk avoidance is a norm. Change-making potential of young people are suppressed. Competition is pursued at all levels. So we cannot produce change makers. This system was not designed to produce change makers. This system was designed to produce employees who can obey rules, who can follow rules. There is a huge compensation difference between those who follow rules and those who create rules. Those who drive change, those who follow change. For example, let's talk about social media. You see all these applications we use every day. You see, every time when we sign into these applications, we add dollar to the account of the person who has created it. The person who has created it, he has become the billionaire because he decided to add value in our lives, and we decided to follow. If someone adds value to your life, it's very good. It basically helps you to move forward in your life. It helps you to find purpose in your life. It has both positive and negative aspects to it. But unfortunately, when I look at Pakistan, I look at developing countries, I see that everywhere, we have decided to submit, to surrender to the Western ideas. I'm not against Western ideas. What I'm saying here is that, change-making intelligence is the least used capacity in third world countries, in developing countries. And why it is so? Because of the education system. Because the moment you enter into the education system, it formats you. As we have mentioned, that knowledge is no longer a competitive advantage. If gone are the days when you have knowledge, people think you have a competitive advantage over others. Gone are the days when higher education was considered as the future. But now I'm not sure about the future of higher education, honestly speaking. And why I'm saying this, let me give you some stats. You see, in 1665, there was only one scientific journal was produced. In 1865, after 200 years, only 1,000 journals were produced, articles were produced. In 1965, 100,000 articles were produced after 100 years. And now every year we produce more than 2 million, research papers and journals. So what does it mean? Knowledge, is no longer provides the competitive advantage over others. Unless until you develop the ability to create, invent, and innovate. Without developing this ability to create, invent, and innovate, you cannot create in 21st century. And I'm sorry to say that our education institutions, are out of breath by, repeating knowledge by repeating skills. Whenever I go to education institutions, I feel very bad. I feel so sad and disappointed that we are wasting so many resources only to repeat knowledge and skills. This is a perfect recipe for disaster. What is insanity? You keep repeating the same mistake and you expect a different result. Everywhere in Pakistan, you see you're getting the same result. Millions of young people are coming out from universities, have no idea how to add value in the society. What type of education we are providing to them? It really holds them back. Since they have become obsolete completely because they think they need to be first provided opportunity, then they can move on with their lives, which is the biggest myth. You see, unless and until we create space for young people, for students to create, invent, and innovate, we cannot, add meaning to this education. You see, in modern language, I think what we need today, we need to focus on 3 areas. Number one, advancement of the subject. We must not restrict ourselves to the subject provided to us. We must make efforts, our professors, our students must make efforts to advance that subject. Number two, advancement of the students. Students must acquire, ability and must discover their inner potential by, and institutions should be the place where they can, discover their pre-existing potential. And the third, advancement of the society. Unfortunately, most of the times when you go and talk to the faculty members, I've spoken to the faculty members of the leading universities. I've gone to 80 universities. I've traveled to 30 countries of the world. Wherever I have gone, I've found the same kind of response. Most of the times when I talk to them, and I get this impression that faculty members think, or education institutions think, they exist only to deliver education to students. Mm-hmm. Students think they exist only to get information from teachers. You see, they need to understand that, both of them should realize that they do not exist only to receive information or pass on information. They should, focus on also developing solutions of the problems faced by the society. Their justification for existence should not only limit to providing or passing on information. This can be done, as we have mentioned, by, going to internet, downloading articles. We can download thousands of articles within no time. Then what is the point of having this too much information which we can't put into action? So the greatest missing right now in education system is our inability to harness the potential of young people or to help young people to discover the potential. You must not forget this. In our tradition, Islamic tradition, when we talk about education, it is more about learning. And learning is, in our tradition, about remembering, reminding yourself that who you are, what you are capable of, what are your special features. If you look at the religious scriptures of the major religions, we will see that all the religions say the same thing. Talking about Islam, when I believe, strongly believe as a Muslim that Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, I have created you in the best conformation. So, this is a God-given qualification to you. You have all the talents, all the abilities within you, waiting to come out. But unfortunately, the system which is outside is not helping you to, exercise those potentials or realize those potentials. So the problem is with the paradigm in which young people and students are going. If we change the paradigm, we change the system. I'll give you an example. Most of the times we seek compliance from young people. Do this, do that, we get compliance. The moment we change from compliance to we seek innovation, we get innovation too. All my life I've seen this. Recently we engaged 20,000 students from across Pakistan. 92% were able to create social economic impact. Imagine what would happen to Pakistan if we are able to utilize this big chunk of population for doing something good. I think creating value should be the prime objective of education. You see, approaching your career, the best way to approach your career is to create value. If you want to assess your career, see how much value you are creating. Unfortunately, this creation of value has been absolutely removed from the education. And unless and until we create space for this kind of education where children go for the advancement of the society, for the advancement of the subject, for the advancement of themselves, they will not be able to, find the true meaning of education.
I definitely agree. I think, and leading to that, entrepreneurship is something very, very common these days. We have incubation centers all over the places, and people are getting trained to be good at business. But you've been working on the concept of youth social entrepreneurship. Can you elaborate a little bit on the methodology of it?
Yeah, actually, the core idea we're working, we call it change making. And I believe that change making is the first step. It is much more important than entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship, because change making comes first, because this is how you start thinking and acting differently. Most of the times, you have talked about, incubation centers, startups, and all these kind of initiatives. They focus primarily on helping young people to set up enterprises. And you know that even in America, 70% startups fail. My question is, what is wrong with them? There are two major bottlenecks. There are two major reasons why startups. Number one, that it inspires young people to become entrepreneurs by offering them money. It basically inspires young people to focus more on value consumption than on value creation. What happens, young person who has never added value in the life, 5 or 10%, suddenly thinks of adding value in the lives of millions of people, in the lives of thousands of people. I call this premature optimization. What is premature optimization? You have not done anything on the ground, and suddenly you think of changing the world. This is not going to work. You see, it is so important for young people to realize that, unless and until they learn the art of creating value, they will never be able to set up enterprises. And most of the times, the second reason I believe, most of the times when they operate from the old conditioning. They were student, and as a student, they were away most of the time. They were taking information, they were taking services, they were serving as consumers. They wanted to look like an entrepreneurs most of the time. They don't like to act like an entrepreneurs. That's the major difference. And I believe that unless and until universities realize it's not about infrastructure, it's not about financial resources, it's not about education, it's not about skills. It's more about applying your self in solving real life problems. Because unfortunately, we focus too much on education, we focus too much on financial resources. We think the problem is lack of resources. We think the problem is lack of education. If these are the problems, then why startups fail in America? Because they have better knowledge, they have better access to information, they have better laws, they have access to financial resources. Still they fail. The reason is they operate from an employee mindset, from a student mindset, where they don't operate from a change maker mindset. And it's very important that whenever we plan an intervention, the whole idea should be to provide this short experience to begin with to every young person to find their power. You see, change-making intelligence is a journey that has to be traveled by everyone, regardless of their age. It is not about those who wanted to become entrepreneurs, those who wanted to become, social entrepreneurs, or those who wanted to set up their own businesses. They should come into this field. No, I believe change-making has the potential to cater all types of young people who are educated, who are uneducated, who are skilled, who are unskilled. And perhaps this is the reason, if you look at the situation in Pakistan, we have like 70% of the population under the age of 35. Out of this population, youth population, which is about 30% of the total population, you see, 70% are not directly involved in any activity. 57% is neither working nor seeking job, and the rest of the population is, going through basic experience of education. So if you have 86% of total of youth population doing nothing or waiting to do something, you cannot move forward. No social and economic miracle can happen in this country without the engagement of young people. So, the focus should not be only on setting up infrastructure and providing loans. This will not solve the problems. We have to change the system. 90% problems in this country is systematic. System does not allow you, doesn't give you any space, doesn't reward you, doesn't appreciate you, encourage you, doesn't facilitate you. If you change the system, you change the results. And the need of our is that to make sure that every young person in Pakistan has at least one opportunity to act as a change maker. This should be part of education. Imagine what will happen to 50% population, youth population, which is currently colleges and universities. What would happen? We would have billions of hours available every month to solve many of the outstanding issues of Pakistan. If we really wanted to bring a revolution, this is the process to bring revolution. We don't need money. We don't need huge infrastructure. We don't need to wait for special partnership. We don't need to look for special talent. We don't need to look for special idea. Most of the times we hold young people back by thinking that if they come up with a good idea, then we will support them. No, the first thing is put them on the track. Sometimes, having yourself on the track helps you more than having a very flashy vision in life. Journey is more important than the destination sometimes. When I started my journey, I wasn't sure, when I started, adding value in the society, I realized what is missing. And slowly and gradually, I found the purpose of my life. And this happens to everyone. You can't think big at the beginning. You have to start small. Yes, you can think, what you want to achieve, but it does not mean you have to, start big. And most of the times when entrepreneurs plan to do something, they always start big and they fail. I'll give you two examples, very interesting examples. Dale Carnegie, his book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He sold out more than 60 million copies of the book. He started this project as a short talk. Oh. Richard Branson, the founder of Virgin brand, he started his brand as student magazine. Slowly and gradually, they realized how they can add on, and this is the natural organic way of growing a business or enterprise, or finding your power. Because certainly, if you are inspired by the amount you have been offered, so what happens? You focus on the amount rather than on the work you want to do. So my suggestion is that education institutions, especially universities, must concentrate on creating an opportunity for every student to act as a change maker for a short period of time. I developed a very simple and comprehensive framework, and I presented this in my book. That it is comprised of 5 levels, starting from level 0, where most of the young people right now. What does it mean? Level 0 means you're not functional. You're serving as a buyer. You're serving as a consumer. You're not trusted. You're not seen as equal partners. But the only role you have to play is to go and buy things and to act as a customer and a consumer most of the times. So level 1 is very important, where we don't expect young people to become entrepreneurs or social entrepreneurs. We want them to go out and find and spot opportunities to add value to society. And you see that 92%, as I mentioned in my book, 92% students were able to create social economic impact. Why? Because right from the first day, we encourage them and inspire them to create value, not consume value. The moment you will give 10 million rupees to a young person, what he or she will do? She will say, I need to set up an office. She will buy a fancy furniture. She will buy a car or new office, or she will buy latest technology. And you start with the negative. Why those people who are super successful, they have started from their homes, from their garage. The reason is because they focus on value creation first, and value consumption comes later. And what happens when you look at the model being implemented in education, institutions, universities, they first focus on value consumption. If you have already spent like 70-80% of your money, looking like an entrepreneur rather than acting like an entrepreneur, then the chances are you're not going to succeed. So, when I look at my life, I started from a bedroom, then I went to my garage, then I set up my office, when my model was proven, when my model was internationally accepted and, given a lot of encouragement locally, internationally, and won many international awards for that model, then I realized I need to set up my office, I need to have a bigger team. So this comes to me naturally. If I follow the other way around, that's it. First I set up my office, I would have not been able to achieve all this. So my suggestion to everyone, who wanted to become an entrepreneur or social entrepreneur, is to first learn the art of creating value. You see, if you learn the art of creating value, you will always be admired. You will always be cherished. You will always be respected. If you will continue to follow, you will be discarded. You will be marginalized. You will not be known. It doesn't matter whether you're an employee or an employer. You must learn the art of continuously, spotting opportunities to create social and economic value. Because this is 21st century. Here, winners are not just by their ability to only memorize things. They're just by their ability to create, invent, and innovate things. You cannot have competitive advantage over others. I have mentioned in my book, it's the least used capacity. People say they are struggling. They're struggling because they're only repeating things every day. You change the routine, you start creating something, innovating something, you will see everything will, turn around. You will attract people, you will attract resources. When you consume value, you repel people, you repel resources. So it is as simple as this.
Well, it looks like it's based on a very substantial value system. The whole theory is based on a value system. So if I have to ask you, okay, what is change-making intelligence in, say, one sentence? What is the theory of change-making intelligence? What would it be?
It is the natural ability present in all human beings to produce social and economic impact in a wide range of environments. It is the natural ability to create something that, which is valuable for others. It is your natural ability to read environment, solve problems, and seize opportunities.
Do you see
this is as simple as.
Do you see it as an alternative theory to education right now?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this should complement education, because most of the times, what happened, 90% time you spend on repeating knowledge and repeating skills. You know what has happened in the past, which is good. But you need to create space to create something for the future. This, as I mentioned, that these three objectives, advancement of the society, advancement of the subject, and advancement of the students. This can only be possible if students are allowed to interact with the society. Because at the moment, students are absolutely out of touch with the society. They have very comfortable and cozy experience. If you doubt what I'm saying, go and see what is happening in universities and education institutions. They are absolutely disconnected from the society because of the way we define intelligence. This is very important, Anand. You see, most of the times we define intelligence in terms of your ability to memorize things, in terms of your analytical abilities, in terms of your ability to score high in your academics, in terms of your ability to speak foreign language. You see, if we change the definition of intelligence to someone who has the ability to create, invent, and innovate, then what happens? We create space for millions of young people to reintegrate into the society. You see, intelligence is not a single capability. There is not only one way to show your brightness or greatness. There are many ways to show your greatness. You see, most of the times, what I mentioned in my book, that intelligence is defined as as something which relates to your personal excellence. You are good at something, you score very high in IQ, so you are considered intelligent. But I wanted to see that intelligence is defined in the context of the society, in the context of the community. If someone says that Anam is intelligent, it means Anam has done something for the society. It's not that Anam has scored high because Anam can speak English, because Anam has a very high GPA in all the exams she appeared. No, this should not be the criteria, because this doesn't help us to create a very inclusive society. It doesn't help us to create a society where we support each other, where we contribute on a regular basis. Unless and until we change this definition, we will never be able to help young people to establish a sense of connection, a sense of usefulness, a sense of purpose, a sense of ownership of the society. So for me, that present definition of intelligence has no heart. It has no spirit. It really disconnects young people from the society. You change the definition of intelligence, you create space for so many young people automatically.
I'd say rather it's a very radical approach towards understanding intelligence, and really, really say liberal in its etymology as well. So with your experience, and you've worked with so hundreds and thousands of students in Pakistan, in your experience, what is the output? Like, once you put your theory in practice and your methodologies in practice, what is the output that you have seen generally?
What I've seen over the years, that once you basically, create circumstances, you create this, I call this trust-based environment in education institutions. Students find their power. They become self-independent. They contribute to the development of society. Recently we are carrying out third-party evaluation, and according to the findings I have seen so far, all those students that have participated in the projects, in our projects and activities, you know, were able to find jobs very quickly, were able to set up their own companies. A third-party evaluation carried out by British Council of our project showed that 71% of the students that participated in our Changemaking projects were able to find employment or become self-employed within 1 year. So what does it mean? That it basically helps them to use it in the capacity. You see, it is very important for students to realize, for teachers to realize that our job is not to basically transfer knowledge and skills. Our job is to help students to use their pre-existing capacity to solve outside problems. You see, most of the times we think our job is to only provide technical knowledge and skills so that students can become employed or self-employed. Our job is to provide them first ever experience to interact with the society, create social and economic value. You see, 92% students were able to create social economic impact. Imagine if we take this or scale this up at national level, what will happen? We would be able to achieve so many milestones within 1 year. No funds are required. We have the infrastructure in place. We have the education institution. We have the technical institutions, and we've proved this again and again. Wherever we have gone, we have gone to FATA, we have gone to Begir, we have gone to Balochistan, we have gone to Sindh, we have gone to every part of Pakistan, we have gone to Azad Kashmir. Wherever we have engaged young people as change makers, the results are amazing. 92%. Imagine, what would happen, if all these students are providing, this opportunity on continuous basis. What would be the impact in the longer term? We will be able to meet many unmet service needs of society. We will be able to mainstream young people into the development process. We will be able to indoctrinate young people with positive values. You see why Pakistan is today vulnerable. We are vulnerable not because we lack resources. We are going through this economic crunch. We are vulnerable because of the big population of youth which is unutilized or underutilized. Because we have never been able to set up a mechanism to use their potential. Pakistan's vulnerability comes from our inability to engage young people. The government will find a way, and this is the easiest way. We don't need resources. We don't need, we don't need to spend billions of rupees to build up programs. I was watching this Kamyab program the other day. I was happy that the Prime Minister has taken the initiative, and he thinks, and whenever I listen to him, I get this impression that he really wanted to help young people to contribute. But unfortunately, his words are not translated into qualitative, reality. What happens that he has this vision, but his words are not translated into action. Why it is so? Because they think by providing, self-employment opportunities to young people, Pakistan will move forward. How many young people will participate in this program, and then how many will be successful? Just look at the relevance, just look at the effectiveness, just look at the cost effectiveness, just look at the sustainability model of this program. This is very difficult for government to run for a longer period of time. We need to set up a policy, set up a program where we provide at least one opportunity to every student in university to act as a change maker. Pakistan will be changed within 3 months. we will be able to reach out to marginalized communities. We will be able to help those people who are in pain. There is so much work to be done. Trees to be planted, climate has to be improved. People are suffering. People don't have access to health services. Children in many villages have no access to education. All this can be done with the help of our students. As part of education, it should not be seen the kind of work needs to be done on Sunday morning or when you are free. It should be part of our agenda. We need not to provide this opportunity to others who are working against, the goals of Pakistan, but trying to basically, make sure that Pakistan doesn't prosper. We must find a way to set up a policy or set up a program which basically indoctrinates positive values in young people. Otherwise, we have left them, open, and anybody can access them and provide them, kind of incentive which can be used or misused for doing something which is not good for the society.
Definitely. This is a very ambitious vision, I must say, changing Pakistan in 3 months. So, since you work with so many students, and I think the kind of work that you do with the change-making intelligence and entrepreneurship, and you're basically, doing this value education with them and character building with them, along with the education that they're receiving in the school. So, and so in that process, you touch many hearts, you change lives. And I'm sure you've done that for thousands of students out there. Can you recall one student or one individual who you are still proud of?
What still?
Who you are still proud of?
I'm proud of, I'm proud of all these young people who were participating in the programs. We have engaged thousands and thousands of young people. There's so many stories. There's a couple of stories which are very recent stories. One of the guys from Chang, his name is Mudassir. We went to his village. We encouraged him to participate in this small activity of 3 weeks. We provide them a small amount of we call it trust-based investment. And he set up this, small shop, a mobile shop, where he decided to provide emergency lights. He created by himself, and then he started selling it. And he was so inspired by the idea that now he's running a company which is providing services at national level, ATC Solar Company, and he has become a huge success. One more story from Women University Madan. This is a university recently established in Madan. This is the first ever university for females. I went there a few years back, 2 years back, and what happened. I offered this opportunity all the students to act as a change maker for a couple of weeks. One of the teams that participated, led by Sahel. You see what she did. She decided to, launch an initiative to preserve Afghani food, because she thought that because of this, KFC and McDonald's, the importance and significance of traditional food or organic food has gone down. So she decided to launch this initiative. She went back. She cooked the food, small money we provided to her, and then she took the pictures. She shared it within the university and outside. She started getting orders, and within no time she got selected for 2 million grant for KP government. Now she's getting 10 million from another institution. Most importantly, she found the purpose of her life. She told us again and again that she had no idea what to do with the future. She was looking for ideas to decide what she needs to do in the future. And suddenly, by participating on the 2 weeks activity, she found the power. So this is why I'm saying that changemaking intelligence basically helps you to find the specific intelligence. And you said, changing Pakistan in 3 months. When I'm saying, I really, I'm very confident about it, because I have no doubts about it. And there's reason behind it, because I have been working with young people for the last 23 years. Recently, I engaged 20,000 young people. I see the results within 1 month what they have done to the country. They have contributed immensely. Imagine, as I mentioned, 15% of the population which is in the colleges and universities. If we will engage them, we would have almost 1.5 billion hours available to address issues in the field of education, health, environment. What would happen? If these 1.5 billion hours are put in the field of education and health, Pakistan would be changed. Pakistan would move forward. This is doable. This is very easy. We don't need funds. We don't need any kind of extra partnership. We don't need any special kind of talent to start this program. We have the resources, we have the human resources, we have the physical resources. We only need to integrate this model. This is the easiest model. This will complement the work being done by the education institutions.
These are beautiful ideas and beautiful stories. I think we should make this talk a little fun as well. So I have this rapid fire question prepared for you, and these are one-liner questions and one-liner answers, and so you're gonna have to quickly respond to them. All right. So
Okay.
my first question is, which one will you pick? Intelligent quotient, emotional intelligence quotient, or love quotient?
You see, I will add changemaking intelligence because it is the mother of all intelligences.
All right, that makes sense. Okay. A theorist who has inspired you for what you're doing.
I'm sorry?
A theorist, any theorist who has inspired you.
I can't hear you. Please say it again.
I'm saying a theorist, somebody who has written a theorist who has inspired you to do what you're doing.
What has inspired me? Actually, honestly, this work was never on my radar. What happened, like, many other Pakistani young people, I was thinking to become a civil servant. But what happened, as I got this opportunity to participate in one of the biggest and oldest non-profit institutions in Pakistan, Family Planning Institution of Pakistan, I got this experience of interacting with large number of young people across Pakistan and listening to the stories. I came to know about their helplessness, hopelessness, and the mounting tragedies faced by them. That really set me up, and I realized that what is missing. We thought that they need education, they need skills, but I realized they need trust. They need to be trusted as change makers, and that really inspired me. And I started from one community in Lahore, in Greentown, a community which migrated from Bangladesh. I facilitated that community, especially young people who wanted to provide education. And within no time, we were able to set up huge infrastructure with the help of young people who were not even fully educated, half educated. So that really changed my life, and it really helped me to find the purpose of my life.
So can I say you were your own inspiration?
Yeah, actually, my major inspiration is my mother because I learned so much from my mother. She set up a school for underprivileged children 40 years ago, and when I look at her, throughout her life, she gave so much back to society, and I learned most important lessons from her. I had the chance to study in the best universities of the world. I went to Oxford, I went to McGill University, I went to John Hopkins University, I went to Salford University. But what I learned from my mother has no match, to be honest.
Oh, that's
You
brilliant.
see, the one thing which I always share, the one lesson I learned from my mother is, especially for young people, is you see, success is not about having the highest standard of living. It is about highest standard of giving. You see, it doesn't matter, what mobile phone you have, what clothes you are wearing, which car you are traveling. You are judged by your actions. If you are doing something good for the society, I think this is enough. This is your real, identity. And I encourage young people to basically, don't define, success in terms of what you have, but define what you can give back to the society.
Beautiful. So, Mr. Ali, coffee or tea?
Depends on the weather. If it is winter, coffee. If it's summer, tea.
Okay, best fellowship experience.
Soviet and Ashoka. I will name both because Soviet Foundation and Ashoka trusted me at a very important stage. Ashoka is one of the leading organizations in the field of social entrepreneurship. It's a US-based institution where they appreciate and like and ideas. And I was very lucky that my idea was selected in 2005, and they really liked the way I decided to engage young people, and that really helped me to set up my institution. At the same time, Soviet Foundation was the first institution to invite me for a fellowship on the basis of the work I started doing in Pakistan, and I got a lot of encouragement, appreciation from them, and this trust really helped me to move forward.
What do you do to relax?
I do more work.
Okay, inspiration or experimentation?
Both. Experimentation leads to
Okay, but you have
inspiration.
to choose one. Come on, choose one.
I would say experimentation leads to inspiration. You cannot inspire people without experimentation. So
Okay,
experimentation.
all right. Okay, so trust or healthy competition?
Trust, no competition. Trust is the secret recipe to unlock the potential.
Okay, name the best change maker you have ever met.
I have ever met, uh, honestly, I will say I may sound biased, but my mother.
Oh, okay. What's the most challenging work you have ever designated to somebody?
I think you include in the list because what happens, every time when we engage young people, the biggest challenge is to help them to overcome their fear to go out and create value. I remember a story, I will share your story. In fact, when we engaged you for the first time, I think it was way back in 2012. And you see, when I asked you to go out and create value, and I asked you to conduct a session for the principals, I remember the kind of fear that attacked you immediately. But because of the trust we showed in your capacity, because we see your capacity, we see that you're fully capable of doing things which nobody else can do because you are unique in every way. So I remember your story because it's one of the most impressive, inspiring stories that how you stood up and you went out and you started educating the principals on subjects which they were lacking, and within no time you were able to find your power. When I look at your career, I think it's a classic example of what happens to someone when she or he is trusted to use her inner capacity.
Well, I'm flattered. Thank you very much. But also, thank you for reminding me the traumatic experience I had.
It was interesting to share with your audience also. At some point, you can share the story, how you have entered to the field. Yeah.
I hope they don't ask about it though. Anyway, your favorite book?
Sorry, my favorite book. You see, there was a time when I used to read a lot of books because I wanted to get a lot of information. But now I started focusing more on doing things. And secondly, whenever I have time, I read Quran because I think when I read Quran, I get so much inspiration, so much guidance. Every time I read it, I find new energy because most of the times we think, Quran is only to be memorized for sawab. आपने या उसको सिर्फ पढ़ना है to be read only for sawab. ये बात नहीं है. If you read Quran, there are beautiful verses. पूरा कुरान में अल्लाह ताला ने आपको ऐसी चीजें बताई हैं कि when you read them, you find your power. You see, one of the two verses which really inspired me every time when I am down, I remind myself. Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, I am a friend of a believer. If you believe in doing something, God will come and help you. God will work behind the scenes. And I think this is very important. Then, Allah says again and again, 70 times, more than 70 times, about patience. You cannot have success overnight. You cannot have success over a weekend. It's very important for you to have patience. Look at all the prophets. The tragedies, the challenges they went through. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, Hazrat Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam के life देखें, आप Jesus peace be upon him, देखें इब्राहिम अलैहिस्सलाम, देखें आप बाकी prophets को देखें, Hazrat Nuh अलैहिस्सलाम को देखें, they went through a lot. They have patience. They had extraordinary patience. हमारा तो एक बंदा हमें reject कर दे तो हमें लगता है everything is gone. And when you read Quran, when you read various scriptures, you find amazing stories, and that gives you a lot of power. Okay, yes, you can do this. This is in your possibility. This is not something you can't do this, and you have this faith. Then you trust God. Then there is no reason that success will not come to you.
Definitely. One advice that you will give to your younger self?
My younger self, I wish I would have started earlier. Would have started at the age of 19. I wanted to start my changing journey at the age of 10 or 11. I'm encouraging my children. In fact, they've already started. They're making a huge difference. So they are, Omar is 11 and Khatija is 6, and both of them are fully engaged in creating value in society, which I was not able to do.
One appeal to the parents.
Sorry?
One appeal to parents.
One appeal to parents. My appeal is to, they must realize that life is not do it for me project. Life is do it by yourself project. I know that you wanted to see your children to be educated, to be skilled, but at the end of the day, let them, go out, face the challenge, face the problems, face, the hardships. Because through all these hardships and challenges, they will become a better human being. At the end of the day, what matters is that how much you go out and interact with the society, how much value you create for others. Education will not change their lives. They
Mm-hmm.
must be given permission, and they must be shown the way how to become a change maker, rather than they should be discouraged to become change maker.
And one appeal to the government.
My plea to the government, a request to the government is to don't think that you need resources to activate young people as change makers. You have all the resources available. You have institutions. Just use them. The challenge at hand, you see, is not about lack of resources. It's about utilization. You see, as I said, no social and economic miracle can happen without the engagement of young people. 86% youth right now is not contributing. If they're contributing, they are not contributing in an organized and systematic manner. Use these resources, create a program. It should be part of education, and you will see that Pakistan will be changed very quickly.
That sounds good. So, to sort of conclude this session, I have one last question that I want to ask. That, as far as change making intelligence is concerned, what do you think are certain policies that the government should adapt in order to incorporate this theory in their current pedagogy?
See, it's very simple, Adam. As I've said it again and again, that you see, they need to integrate the concept of change-making intelligence. This is not about setting up companies. This is not about setting up organizations. This is not telling young people how to run a business. This is more about asking young people to go out and find a way to create value in the society. This is about learning the art of creating value. It's about changing the definition of intelligence. Unless and until we change the definition of intelligence, we will never be able to reintegrate young people socially and economically. Vast number of young people do not qualify. They can't speak, English. They can't, score high in IQ tests. What does it mean? They're not humans. They're not human beings. They're children of lesser God. It's not. It's this criteria is the biggest stumbling block. You change the criteria of assessing students, of young people. You provide them an opportunity to go and do something for the society. You will see that everyone contributes. Everyone will bring something to the table. Everyone will be able to do something which can really help Pakistan to move forward as a society, as a country.
And this whole idea of change making intelligence, I believe, is so uh, all encompassing and accepting and loving that many people are just pulled into it. And as we say that united we stand and divided we fall, I kind of resonate, this idea sort of resonates with that आप एक इंसान अगर अच्छा काम करता है उसके साथ सारे और भी लग जाते हैं, because in our hearts, deep in our hearts, that is what we want to do. We want to be nice, we want to be nice to ourselves, and we want to be nice to others. And I really appreciate that you've spent decades working on this, and with such a good heart and with the same kind of a passion that the first time I met you, you still have the same passion. And I really hope that we have more change makers around us, and that we believe in ourselves. And I think you play a very important role in bringing all of our um, faith in ourselves into us, and helping us and many more others to really stand on their feet and believe in themselves and actually start living. So I think this all is very inspiring for the youth today, and also something that the government and the educational society, the groups, they should be discussing about it, they should be talking about it, and they should try to incorporate that somehow in the ways that they teach or inspire people. So I would really want to thank you, Mr. Ali Raza, for doing all of the things that you are doing for this community of ours. And I wish you all the best. And I'm very thankful that you've joined Academic Accessible for this talk. And I hope that people start to resonate with what you are also saying and uh, make this change, whatever it is, big or small, in their everyday life. Thank you very much, Mr. Ali, and all the best
Thank
for your future endeavors.
you so much. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you.